The Soviet desire to get this aid to help them destroy these weapons is not all because they worry they'll be used against the United States. They worry it will be used against them. The Ukraine has a significant number of nuclear warheads on their landmass. They declare independence tomorrow, Mr. President. They nationalize, in effect, all those weapons that are now on their territory. They become an instant nuclear power, Mr. President, with a government we know not of, in circumstances we cannot contemplate, and, Mr. President, at least for the Russian Republic and other republics, a new dimension with which they have to deal. In the context of a civil war or anything approaching that in the former Soviet Union, Mr. President, I do not find it reassuring to know that there are a number of tactical nuclear weapons, from nuclear landmines to artillery shells, that are sort of floating around the landscape there, Mr. President. So it's not just our concern, I acknowledge. But Mr. Gorbachev and what's left of the central government's leadership, they have a concern that in that context, those weapons present a dimension to civil war unlike anything the world has ever contemplated. Moreover, Mr. President, Mr. Gorbachev has called for early negotiations of a START II treaty that would cut the current START levels sharply, so that reductions begun under START I would continue without interruption to just a few thousand at most, the precise level to be determined by negotiations between our governments. We have an important long-range task, Mr. President, that is to negotiate these lower levels. But, Mr. President, I want to again, as I yield, thank Senator Nunn and thank Senator Lugar for being willing to underscore for all of us at this moment that although we have a long-range task, we have an urgent task to help the Soviet Union get the reduction started and to accelerate the process of actual weapons elimination. Mr. President, the question before the Senate, the question put to the Senate by the Nunn-Lugar amendment, is whether, having won the Cold War, we are willing to join with our former adversaries to eliminate the Armageddon arsenals to which the Cold War gave genesis. Or do we do nothing, hoping the Soviet arsenal will somehow safely disappear without our involvement? The defeat of the Nunn-Lugar amendment, Mr. President, to which I'll speak to more after they speak to it, in my view, in my very strong belief, to defeat it would be a reckless gamble with history. For what they are proposing is clearly the single most significant, in my view, the single most significant cost-effective national security expenditure